What are some of the absolute worst brand new cars and SUVs that you can buy? That's what we're going to find out. Welcome to Car Help Corner, where we help you, the consumer, master the process of car buying and car ownership. There's no question that the majority of brand new cars and SUVs that you can buy on today's market are a huge improvement from what you could buy in the past. But just because many cars have improved a lot doesn't mean that you don't need to be careful when shopping for a car. There's still plenty of terrible new cars and SUVs that can give you long-term reliability issues, high repair costs, and just offer poor value for money. So if you want to know some of the worst top 10 SUVs that you should avoid on the new car market, then make sure to stick around to the end of this video. Let's get started with my number 10 pick on this list, the entry-level Mitsubishi crossover SUV, the Outlander Sport, also known as the RVR. Mitsubishi has been making their entry-level crossover for over a decade now, and although they've given it a few updates over the years, it's now pretty dated and uncompetitive when compared to other small crossover SUVs. There's just not a whole lot to like here, especially given the fact that the pricing is no less than other much better crossovers on the market. And although Mitsubishis are okay when it comes to long-term reliability, they're definitely nowhere near as good as the top players in the segment. The other issue with this crossover is the cost of long-term ownership expenses. The problem with Mitsubishi is that they are a very small car manufacturer in North America with a tiny dealer network, and that leads to problems when it comes to servicing and repair costs. Not only can it be difficult to find a Mitsubishi dealer to work on your car, but the cost of servicing and parts can be much higher than other brands. The only real bright spot with buying a Mitsubishi is the fact that they do give you a very good powertrain warranty of up to 10 years, even though I doubt that any Mitsubishi dealer would actually replace your engine or transmission after 8 or 9 years in service. There's just no real compelling reason to buy one when there are much newer and better SUVs on the market. So let's move on to my number 9 pick on the list, which is the Mini Countryman. Now, if you want to talk about uncompetitive and poor value for money, then the winner definitely needs to go for Mini, because the Countryman has got to be one of the most overpriced crossovers on the market. Mini definitely charges a significant price premium for their unique look and feel, but I'm not really sure whether it's really worth it because the quality is definitely not there. Minis have long been known for serious reliability issues, including engine problems, transmission problems, and significant electronic problems, all of which can cost a fortune to repair. Remember, Minis are made by BMW, which is another company known for very high repair and ownership costs. So although you might think you're buying an SUV that's more reasonably priced, you're definitely getting one with luxury car repair bills. Although they do look pretty cool and I do get the attraction to them, eventually the novelty will wear off and all you're going to be left with is a pretty unremarkable SUV that's overpriced and is going to cost you a ton of money to keep on the road. Moving on to my number 8 pick on the list, the Ford Explorer. Now, there are a lot of great 3-row crossover SUVs on the market, including the newer players like the Kia Telluride and the Hyundai Palisade, which have been incredibly popular. Although the latest generation of the Explorer has received some significant updates and is a nice driving SUV, it's still nowhere close to its main rivals. The interior is pretty cramped, especially in the 3rd row, and the quality is nowhere near at the same level as other SUVs in this price range. Not only is the quality unremarkable, but the long-term reliability is not the best either. The Explorer offers a choice between Ford's EcoBoost turbocharged engines, which are known for all kinds of issues and are far from the most reliable engines. Not only is the Explorer inferior to most of its main rivals, but the pricing tends to be much higher as well. The fact that you can spend thousands of dollars more for an Explorer over a Toyota Highlander or Kia Telluride makes absolutely no sense. So do yourself a favor, if you're shopping for a 3-row crossover SUV, make sure to look at something else instead. Let's move on to my number 7 pick on the list, the Jeep Renegade. Now, to be perfectly honest, none of the small Jeep crossovers like the Compass or the Cherokee are really all that competitive, but I have to give the win to the Renegade for being the absolute worst one of the lot. It's just an overpriced, unremarkable small crossover that just doesn't have very much to offer other than unique styling and some off-road capability. And in traditional Jeep fashion, the Renegade is not exactly known for its stellar reliability. It's based off of the same platform as the Fiat 500X, another car known for quality issues. The Renegade is pretty much unremarkable in just about every way, and if you want a small crossover SUV, your best bet is just to look at something else. But whatever you do, make sure you don't look at my number 6 pick on this list, which is the Chevrolet Trax. Now, I was pretty surprised to see that Chevy is continuing to offer the Trax for 2022, even though they have their more popular and more stylish Trailblazer as their small crossover. I'm not sure why that's the case exactly, because the Trax is pretty much as bad as it gets for a small crossover SUV. Other than its low price tag, the Trax pretty much has nothing to offer someone shopping for a small crossover, and there are much better alternatives available for a similar or even a lower price. So if you're looking for something that offers good performance, reliability, and value for money, you're pretty much better off buying almost anything else. Let's move on to my number 5 pick on this list, which is the GMC Acadia. The Acadia is GMC's mid-size crossover SUV and shares many similar parts and components with other GM SUVs, including the GMC Terrain, Chevy Equinox and Traverse, and even the Cadillac XT5. What all of these SUVs basically share is a long history of expensive reliability issues and just questionable value for money. All of these SUVs are available with GM's 3.6-liter V6 engine, which has a number of serious issues, including oil consumption problems and timing chain problems, all of which are extremely expensive to repair. The 4-cylinder engines used in these SUVs are not a whole lot better, and the transmissions in these SUVs are also known to be very problematic as well. Now, GM has made some updates to these drivetrain components over the years, so the newer ones might be a bit more reliable, but who really knows, and I'm not really willing to bet on it. The other issues with these GM SUVs is that they're just not all that competitive in the market. They don't have a whole lot to offer when it comes to design, performance, or offering a lot of features for the money. The Acadia is one of the most expensive ones in the group, and it can cost thousands of dollars more than other comparable SUVs, and yet it also has lower resale value because of its long-term reliability issues. There's just no real compelling reason to buy one of these SUVs, which is why they deserve a spot on this list. Next up is the number 4 worst SUV on this list, which is the Ford EcoSport. The EcoSport is a perfect example of a new SUV that's pretty much terrible in every possible way. There's not much that this small crossover can do better than any of its main rivals. It has a very cramped and pretty low quality interior with an awkward side-swinging rear tailgate, and it's also missing a lot of key features, including active safety features like adaptive cruise control and lane departure assist, which are pretty much available on almost every single new car. It also has pretty weak performance thanks to a small turbocharged 3-cylinder engine or an optional 4-cylinder engine with all-wheel drive, neither of which offers very good acceleration or fuel economy. The EcoSport also doesn't have very great prospects for long-term reliability or resale value, and the pricing is way too high for what you're getting. So if you're shopping for a small crossover SUV, you're better off looking at pretty much anything else. Moving on to my number 3 pick on this list, which is the Fiat 500X. The 500X is a somewhat forgotten small crossover SUV on the market, and the same could probably be said of the entire Fiat brand in North America, which now only sells one model for 2022, and that model is the 500X. I guess the fact that it's been neglected and forgotten is a good thing, because the 500X really doesn't have much of a reason to exist. Other than its unique and somewhat stylish exterior design, there's just not a whole lot to like about the 500X. In typical Fiat fashion, the 500X is just not all that great when it comes to its quality. The interior materials are pretty low grade and don't hold up very well over time. And the reliability is not that great. These things are known for all kinds of quality issues, including with their engines, transmissions, and various electronics, all of which can be very expensive to repair. Now, some of this might be forgivable if the 500X were more reasonably priced, but these things tend to be quite a bit more expensive than other comparable small crossovers. The 500X just really doesn't have very much going for it, but the same could definitely also be said of my number 2 pick on this list, which is the Dodge Journey. Now, the Journey is technically not offered for the 2022 model year, but I thought it was still worth mentioning on this list because at the time of this recording, Dodge dealers still had brand new leftover models that they were desperately trying to sell. And I wouldn't be surprised if they have a very hard time trying to unload these things because the Journey is one of the absolute worst SUVs that you can buy. Other than having a somewhat reasonable price and a decent amount of interior space, the Journey has pretty much nothing going for it when compared to other SUVs on the market. The ancient drivetrain has pretty terrible performance and fuel economy, the driving experience is not that great, it's missing a lot of key features for a modern SUV, and the quality, long-term reliability, and resale value are all pretty bad too. And because it's such an old and outdated SUV, the Journey has a pretty low safety rating from the IIHS as well. The Journey is easily one of the worst SUVs on the market, and it would have no problem taking the #1 spot if it weren't for its semi-affordability. The main reason why the worst SUV on this list takes the #1 spot is because of its high price tag. When you spend a lot of money on a new vehicle, you would expect it to be high quality, but that's definitely not the case in my #1 pick, which is the Land Rover Range Rover. The Range Rover is well deserving of its #1 spot as the worst SUV that you can buy, and a lot of that has to do with its long-term reliability and poor build quality. Range Rovers are famous for having all kinds of serious reliability issues, all of which can cost a fortune to repair. The problems that these things can experience out of warranty with their drivetrain components, electronics, and pretty much everything else are so unbelievable that it's pretty easy to drown yourself in a huge amount of debt from all of the expensive repair bills. Anytime a Range Rover needs something fixed at the dealer, it's easily going to cost you 4 figures or more, and it's only going to happen more often as they get older. I've even had clients lease these things brand new for only 3 to 4 years under warranty and still complain that they have so many issues that it's just not worth it. At the end of the day, if I had to pick just one SUV to not recommend without hesitation, it would absolutely be the Range Rover. So let me know what you thought of the SUVs on this list, and if you have any recommendations for any future car videos, just leave a comment below. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe. You can also follow me on TikTok and Instagram. And if you need any additional car buying advice, recommendations, or help with getting a great deal on your next new car purchase, you can check out carhelpcanada.com. Thanks so much for watching, and see you next time.